Hey everybody, it's Rob here. With Season 8, we get some incredible strong boss powers here, and I want to show you some of the potentially strongest or craziest combination. These are a true powerhouse and have a lot of multipliers to your general build. I think overall they're going to be quite a bit stronger than the witch powers that we have currently in Season 7. Obviously, that all has to be seen on the PTR next Tuesday here in just a few days, but I want to give you some ideas, and there might even be builds that completely revolve around some of these some of these boss powers, because you can see here they do a ton of damage, 60,000, and there's even one power that they showed here that in the end here is doing up to 420,000 damage, and they also said they're gonna scale with Paragon, and all that they showcased here is Paragon 100. So there might be some builds that I'm gonna check out here the next days that even revolve fully around some of these vampiric and boss powers. So it's gonna be a hell of exciting. Let's jump into it. So first of all these boss powers that we've seen in the blog post here, they are level 1 and they scale up to rank 20, just like the current witch powers do. So they're gonna be tremendously more powerful. Okay, and here are some of the crazy multipliers that we get at level 1. So there is this power here, Reaper's Disruption, that gives you 1.05 vulnerable, and then another one 10% multiplicative vulnerable damage. There's another one here that gives you 22 crit chance. There's another one here that gives you 1.1 multiplicative damage. There's another one here, I think this is one of the most strongest ones, the Syriad's Flames, that gives you 5% multiplicative and another 15% multiplicative. Already 21% multiplicative elemental damage. And then there's another one here that multiplies the damage of your summons. And I think if you combine these, in the end, at level 1, I did some rough calculation here for my Barbarian. So this is the buffs, for example, at a Whirlwind Barbarian, and we just have the main power. It's already giving a 1.5x. This is the beam that you saw earlier. Then we combine it with the element power. This is only on rank 1, giving us 21% multiplicative. Then we have the Harbinger, giving us here 11% multiplicative to vulnerable damage. And that's already a double damage multiplier. And these are just power at level 1. Plus then you can add another power here. And one thing that I want to highlight here is the Blister power. This one has an insane amount of potential. So it says here, this is the Lilith power, secondary. Hitting an enemy with a main power creates a Blister clone with 10% of their maximum life. Killing blisters removes 5% of the elite's life. You can have 3 blisters active at once. And in the footage here that they showed in the campfire chat, we already caught a screenshot of the power here at the max rank. So this is just Paragon 100, so it's probably going to go even crazier. But it already does 10% of the boss damage per blister, and you can have up to 3 blisters. And this is going to be tremendously useful on many builds that struggle with single target, because this essentially is going to transfer a single target boss situation, which happens a lot in the pits at the end, into a 4-target fight, because you have 3 blisters and you have 1 boss, so you have 4 targets. So all the sorcerers out there with Shatter or some other builds that have been really struggling on single target can rejoice with this blister power. I think even it may work something like a bit of a Bane of the Stricken, like it's basically going to reduce the boss times in the pit significantly. Like it's been plaguing players that the boss is more than half the pit time, and I think this blister power is gonna change that, at least a little bit. There's also some extra bonuses here. For example, if you're looking at the Barb and Bolt's Chieftain. So on Barb, you always have a problem on a single target as well, because when there's one target, you're not getting your shout cooldowns back, right? Because you only have one target for your Bolt's Chieftain. But now that you have 4 targets, you're gonna have permanently 70% cooldown reduction on all your shouts. So this is also gonna help the Barb tremendously here with single target, just a Lilith Wind of Hate. And in general, as we can see here in this footage, the Lilith Wind of Hate already has a 60,000 damage multiplier. And this is what I mean. You can use these powers as a support to your build, or maybe we can even make builds that completely revolve around these powers. So if you just take this baseline damage, you have already 60,000. And this is only on Paragon 100. We don't know how crazy it's going to go on the Paragon 300. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 180,000. And then you already multiply this by 4. Because you're going to get up to 300% multiplicative damage if you keep hitting the target. So that's already a 250,000 base damage as physical. So that can be increased by a lot, especially on the barb, for example. So you're looking at some pretty crazy base damage that might even out DPS most builds and most skills. We'll have to see how this works in the PTR. We also don't know fully whether this has an internal cooldown or not. It looked a bit like when the footage here, when they show this wave. Let's say you're playing Whirlwind Barb and you keep spinning. Does it gonna keep proccing waves, or is it like one wave every 2 seconds? We'll have to see. But overall, you can switch these powers around like you like. So you have a ton of combination possibilities with all of these. Like you can use the Lilith power as main power, or you can just use it as a modifier to buff an existing power. So there's a ton of different ways to combine these. You can just not use the same one twice. And you can kind of see this wave here. And I'm not sure like how frequently this can proc. Like if it has an ICD or not. And this also depends a lot on the other powers. So there's a ton of potential here with these ones. And then another one I wanted to show you, a potential combination, is the Beliar's I-Beam. So he also showed this at the max rank. You see this Beliar's I-Beam gives you 75% damage reduction for 2 seconds when you drink a potion. You can now drink a potion at full life. And on rank 20, it already gives you 418,000 damage. And again, this is all from a Paragon 100. So at Paragon 300, it's probably going to give you around 1 million damage. And then you can combine it with this Avarice power here. There's a modifier that activating your main boss power. This is just one modifier. Spends all your resources and increases its damage by 1.5%. This is on rank 1, guys. So already on rank 1, let's say you have 300 resource, 300 times 1.5 as a multiplier. That's already 5.5 times the damage. So just on rank 1 with a modifier, you're already looking at 2.3 million base damage over 3 seconds that you can then scale with your generic multipliers. If you're a Necro, you probably have a lot of shadow damage over time, which is now corrupt damage multipliers. So we might see builds that don't even rely on your normal skills. We might see builds that just purely rely on these powers because they made them so powerful. And we'll see what kind of balance is going to happen after, the season. But obviously, like generic multipliers like Fist of Fate, I don't know, you can look at, for example, Inner Calm. Like these are for sure going to increase the damage of these boss powers to reach even higher heights and even more DPS in total at the end. And the combination is not even done. So you have the Beliar's I-Beam, then you have something here spending all your resources. And then there is another power here that basically allows you, that you can also use here, that allows you to get your resources back and execute enemies per kill. So you're just spinning around, or I don't know, whatever build you're playing, you're like blasting through the enemies with the Beliar's I-Beam. You're activating these main powers to spend all the resources, and then when you spend all the resources, your main boss power will execute enemies, and when you execute an enemy, it's going to give you 25 resources back. So it's basically a self-fulfilling combination. And you can kind of see here how powerful these get. I think there was a screenshot. Yeah, here you can see the scaling of this execute resource power. So we know it's 18%. This is like reminds me of Frailty of Diablo 3. So we can see non-boss enemies, so this also includes elites, will be executed at 18%, and this is only rank 4. So we can level this another 16 levels. So we can say 18 right now plus 16. So that means this power is going to execute enemies at 34% life and then give you resources back to then fuel again into the Avarice explosion, to then fuel again into Beliar's I-Beam. And then you can even have 2 open slots and you already have crazy baseline. And then this multiplier will probably increase a lot. And you can kind of get an idea of how much it increases if you're looking at this one here. So this one more than doubles. If we're looking at the Lilith power here, this one also more than doubles. You see the rank 1 power that we have in here. There's also some fear powers and stuff, like that's not too interesting, I think. But the, let me see, blister. So the blister base here is 5%, and at max level and Paragon 100, it's 10%. So this one more than doubled. So it's also safe to assume that this one will be around double. So we're already looking at like 5 million base or something if the multiplier is at rank 20. And then you can also level your Paragon up to 200. And I think the damage is gonna like be that in the 10th of million baseline, and then be increased by your main stat, by your multipliers, by your Paragon nodes, by your glyphs, by your passives, by your skills, by your aspects, by everything basically. So, I mean, who knows how much damage this will do? We will see on the PTR, but there are some pretty cool combination possibilities that I'm very much looking forward to test here come Tuesday. And it also looks like we're gonna have the planner updated here on the 4 builds here very soon. And once that is done, I'll make a video and I'll show you some of the builds that I want to test for the next season. I have good hopes for a Whirlwind Barb. There's a lot of cool changes. There's cool stuff for the Ice Shard Sorgs. There's cool stuff for like a Firestorm Spiritborn. There's cool stuff for a Rake Spiritborn, like the Reverse Flash, and so many more cool builds that I'm looking forward to do. And then maybe even like make some special builds that only rely like DPS wise on these powers, and we'll see how much we can scale them just with the powers. I'm really looking forward to it. I think the season theme is extremely cool and I can't wait to get testing. Let's go. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.